Hey, Brooks, are you actually a medic or just a mascot for good luck?
When I'm pulling shrapnel out of your guts, kid. Remember that joke? No anesthesia.
Do not scroll. The best part is ahead. Subscribe, hit like, and leave a comment. I hated this place from the first minute. Not for the dust, not for the heat. For the fact that any day could be your last, and you knew it. Catherine Brooks showed up on base at 5 in the morning, when most people were still asleep after the night patrol. I was standing by the aid station, checking the morphine supply. I heard footsteps light but confident. I turned. A short girl in camouflage with a rucksack nearly half her height. Chestnut hair pulled into a tight ponytail, no makeup, eyes as gray as Afghan dust. "Sergeant Brooks. Medical," she said. She did not ask. She did not say hello. She just stated a fact. "Corporal Reyes," I said. "John." "Katie." She nodded and walked past me into the aid station. I should have felt something then. A warning, a premonition, anything. Instead, I thought only one thing: too small for this hell. I was wrong, so very wrong. For the first 3 days, she hardly spoke. She worked, ate, slept. Lieutenant Hale introduced her to the platoon, and the guys met her with skepticism. A woman medic in the Marine Corps. Most of them thought it was a bad joke. On her first evening, Katie sat in the chow hall with a tray in her hands. Around her were men in uniform, exhausted, dirty, loud. She was looking for a free seat when someone at the next table whistled. "Hey, Brooks," Private Nolan shouted. "You sure you did not pick the wrong door? This is not nursing school. This is the front." A few guys laughed. Katie did not answer. She set down the tray and sat at the far edge of a table. "Maybe she is here for morale," someone muttered behind me. "So we do not forget what women look like." "Or maybe command decided we need a mascot," another added. "Touch her hand and you will survive the patrol." Laughter rolled through the chow hall again. She kept eating slowly as if she heard nothing. But the spoon trembled a little. I sat at another table, seeing everything. I wanted to say something, but she lifted her eyes and threw a quick look, cold, steely. The kind that shuts down stupidity. "Hey, fellas," she said calmly when the noise died down. "If one of you takes a bullet, I will still pull it out of your ass. But next time, without anesthesia." Silence. Then a burst of laughter, a different kind now, with surprise and a little respect. She stood, picked up her tray, and left. Shoulders straight, step even. Nolan watched her go and muttered, "She has bigger balls than we do." I smiled then, and for the first time I thought this girl would make it. On the 4th day, everything changed. A patrol got ambushed 3 kilometers from the base. The radio squealed, voices shouting over one another. I grabbed the medic bag just as Katie was already running to the Humvee. "Let us go," she said. "Wait for orders," I tried. "The order is to save people. Let us go." I got in. There was no choice. When we arrived, 2 were already dead. 3 more were wounded, 1 critically. Katie jumped out before the truck stopped. She ran to the man, screaming the loudest, Private Dennis. "Hold him," she shouted to me, tearing open a medical kit. I held him. Katie worked fast, no wasted motion. Her hands did not shake. Her face showed nothing. "You are not going to die, you hear me," she told Dennis. "Not today." And he did not. When the evacuation took the wounded, I saw Katie by the Humvee. She stood with her forehead pressed to the metal, her back to everyone. Her shoulders were shaking. I came up quietly. "Katie." "Do not," she said, her voice dull. "I am fine." "Does not look like it." She turned. Her eyes were red, but the tears were already wiped away. "You will not tell, right?" she asked. "Tell what? That I saw the best medic on base save a guy." She smiled. For the first time, brief but real. "Thank you, John." That evening in the chow hall, the guys looked at her differently, with respect, some of them with something more. And I sat across from her and wondered why I could not get her smile out of my head. Katie never got mail, not once. I noticed it after a week. Every time the mail arrived, everyone gathered around the table like kids on Christmas. Even the ones who pretended not to care were waiting. Letters from mothers, wives, girlfriends, photos of children, boxes of cookies. Katie never came over. Not expecting anything, I asked one evening. We were sitting on the roof of the aid station. She liked to climb up there after sunset, when the heat eased. I had gotten used to keeping her company. From whom? She answered, eyes on the stars. Parents? A boyfriend? My parents are dead. Car accident when I was 17. No boyfriend. I kept quiet. She went on. I lived with my aunt. She was against me joining the military. Said it was not a woman's job. Said I was shaming my mother's memory. Nonsense, I said. I know, it still hurts. She took out a cigarette. I was surprised I had not known she smoked. I took the cigarette from her and crushed it under my boot. Hey, she protested. If you want to die, there are faster ways. She glared at me, then suddenly laughed. A bright, ringing laugh. You are strange, John Rays. I have heard that. That night, I wrote her a letter. Not a real one, just a note I slipped into her pack the next morning. It said, from your friend who thinks you are the best medic in this hole. Postscript, quit smoking. She found it at lunch. She read it. She looked at me across the table. She smiled. That evening on the roof, she brought 2 cans of soda. I am sharing my last stash, she said. Consider it my reply to your letter. We sat without talking, drank warm soda, and watched the moon rise over the mountains. You know, Katie said suddenly, when I was a kid, my mom said the moon is God's lamp. He shines it for those lost in the dark. That is a lovely thought. A foolish one. God is not shining on anyone here. Maybe, but we can shine for each other. She looked at me in a strange way, for a long moment, then turned away. You are strange too, John. You already said that. I did. I will say it again. When we climbed down, her hand brushed mine for a moment. By accident or not, I did not know. But I felt warmth through the glove, and I knew I was in trouble. Alex Mercer arrived on base in August. 20 years old, a smile from ear to ear, a photo of his girlfriend in his pocket. He told everyone he would get married as soon as he got home. Katie took a dislike to him right away. Too cheerful, she said. People like that do not survive. Pessimist, I answered. Realist. From the first day, Alex bugged Katie, joked, offered help, brought coffee from the chow hall. She ignored him. He did not give up. Why are you so cold? He asked her one day, straight out. We were all indoors, waiting for a patrol. Katie was checking the med kit. I am not cold. I am busy. Everyone is busy, but you are like stone. Alex, shut up, I said. No, let him talk. Katie stood, looking at him calmly. Do you think if I am nice to you, you will not die? Do you think a smile and a coffee make this war safer? I think we need to hold on to each other, Alex answered quietly. We hold on by doing our jobs, without the sob stories. She walked out. Alex watched her go. Is she always like that? Not always, I said, but she is right. Do not get too attached. Out here, that kills. He did not listen. A week later, the platoon went into townhouse searches after reports of weapons. Katie went with them. I stayed on base. It was my shift at the aid station. Everything went wrong at 2 in the afternoon. The radio burst into screams. Explosion, wounded, medic on the line. I grabbed my bag and ran to a Humvee. The driver already had the engine going. When we arrived, all I saw was smoke. Katie stood in the street, hands pressing Alex's chest. He lay on his back, face white. I cannot keep up, she shouted. John, he is dying. I knelt. I saw it right away, shrapnel in the lung, internal bleeding. He needed surgery immediately. Evac is on the way, I said. We will hold him. We worked together. We sealed the wound, pushed plasma. Alex, look at me, Katie yelled. Do not you dare. You hear me? Do not you dare die. He looked at her. He smiled through the pain. Sorry for pestering. Shut up, Katie's voice shook. Save the apology for later. But there was no later. Alex died 3 minutes before the medical evacuation helicopter arrived. Katie sat by the body, staring into nothing. I touched her shoulder. Katie. I was too late, she whispered. John, I was too late. You did everything. Not enough. She stood and walked away. She did not run, she just went, like a robot. To the Humvee, she climbed in. I followed her back to base. She was silent the whole way, stared out the window. On base, she went to her barracks, closed the door. I heard her scream inside. After Alex died, something in Katie broke. She worked as before fast, precise, no mistakes. But she did not speak, not even to me. She stopped going to the roof, ate alone, slept little. I saw her light at 3 in the morning. Lieutenant Hale called her in. Sergeant Brooks, you need a break. I do not, sir. That is not a request. You are at the edge. I am fine. You have lost weight. You are not sleeping. You snap at the team. That is not normal. Normal is when people do not die in your hands, sir. Brooks. Permission to return to duty. Hale looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Go. But if I see one more breakdown, I will send you home. Understood? Yes, sir. When she came out, I stood by the door. I had heard everything. Katie, wait. She walked past. It is not your fault, I said to her back. She stopped. She did not turn. How do you know? Because I lost 5 before you arrived. They all died, even though I did everything I could. Then how do you live with it? Because there is no choice. You can die from guilt, or you can live and try to save the next one. She turned. Her eyes were red. And if I cannot save the next one? Then at least you tried. That is enough. No, she whispered, not enough. She walked away. That night I did not sleep. I sat in the aid station and took apart instruments that did not need cleaning. I just needed something to do with my hands. At 4 in the morning, I heard a step. I turned. Katie stood in the doorway. I cannot sleep, she said simply. Come in. She sat on the cot across from me. We were silent. He asked me to tell his girl that he loved her, Katie said suddenly. Alex, before he died, I forgot. You can tell her in a letter. What is the point? He is dead. It will not matter to him. It will matter a great deal to her. She cried, quietly, without sobs. Tears just ran down her face, and she sat motionless. I moved to her. I put an arm around her shoulders. She leaned against me like a child. I am so tired, John, she whispered, so tired of saving everyone. I know. I want to go home, but I am afraid to go back there. Why? Because I do not matter to anyone there. Here at least I have a reason to wake up. I kissed the top of her head. I did not think. I just did it. She flinched, but did not push me away. We should not, she whispered. I know. It is against the rules. I know. John. I let her go and moved back. Sorry, I should not have. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she leaned in and kissed me on the lips. Quick, unsure. Do not apologize, she said. Just. Not now. Not here. When? I do not know. When we survive. She left. I sat in the dark, touching my lips with my fingers, and thinking there was no guarantee we would survive. October was the worst month. Patrols ran into ambushes every 3 days. The base took fire twice. We lost 4 more. Katie worked at the limit of what a person can do. So did I. We almost never saw each other when it was her shift. It was not mine. When I got back, she was already asleep. But at night, I sometimes heard steps by my barracks. Quiet, hesitant. They stopped at my door. Then they went away. I never went out. I was afraid to break something fragile between us. It all ended on October 13th. The convoy was moving through the mountains. I was in the second vehicle. Suddenly, an explosion. The Humvee ahead jumped into the air and flipped onto its side. I was thrown out of the seat and slammed into the roof. I heard a crack in my shoulder, a sharp pain. "Get out!" someone shouted. "There will be another blast." I crawled from the vehicle, clutching my right arm. Blood ran onto the sand. A shard in the shoulder, deep. "Medic!" someone yelled. The medic was me, but I needed help. The next Humvee stopped, and Katie jumped out. "John," she ran to me, eyes wide with fear. "I am okay," I said. "Check the others." "Shut up and sit down." She pushed me to the ground and cut the sleeve with scissors. She saw the wound, a deep gash with shrapnel inside. "Oh, hell," she whispered. "Some medic," I grinned through the pain. "Cussing in front of a patient." "Shut up, John. Shut up and breathe." She pulled the shard with tweezers. I clenched my teeth so I would not scream. She stitched the wound right there and wrapped it. "Evacuation in 10 minutes, she said. "Can you hold on?" "Do I have a choice?" She looked at me, and I saw something I had not seen before: real fear. Not for a patient, for me. "Do not you dare die," she whispered. "John, do not you dare." "I am not planning to." "Promise." "I promise." She kissed me, quick, in front of everyone. She did not care. When the evacuation helicopter lifted me out, I saw her down below. A small figure in camouflage, hand raised in farewell. I did not know it was the last time I would see her in Afghanistan. They sent me to a hospital in Germany, then to the United States. The injury was serious nerve damage. My arm hardly worked. The doctors said field medicine was over for me. I wrote to Katie every week. Long letters about treatment, about physical therapy, about how much I missed her. She did not answer. The first month, I thought she was busy. The second month, I thought the mail might not be getting through. The third month, I understood she just did not want to. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned her unit had been moved closer to the border. A hard zone. Losses every 2 days. I wrote a letter to Lieutenant Hale. Short. "Sir, Sergeant Brooks needs to be evacuated. Not for wounds, because she will break if she stays. You know what I mean. Please help her." He replied, "Corporal Reyes, I tried. She refuses. Says she is a soldier, not a doll. If you have influence with her, write to her. Maybe she will listen to you." I wrote Katie one last letter, by hand, 5 pages. I told her everything. How she had changed me. How I feared for her every hour. How I wanted her to come back. Not for me, for herself. I wrote, "You do not owe it to me to love me. You do not owe me a date. But you owe it to yourself to survive. Because you are the strongest person I know. And if you give up there, I will not survive it here." I sent it. 3 weeks later, I got a reply. 1 page, a few lines. "John, sorry for the silence. I simply did not know what to say. I am coming home next month. My time is up. Shall we meet? K." I cried reading it. For the first time in 2 years. Katie came back in December. I waited for her at the Washington airport, holding a paper cup of coffee and a bouquet that looked foolish. I spotted her from afar. She walked slowly, rucksack on her back. Thinner than I remembered, hair shorter, eyes tired. She stopped a couple of yards from me. "Hi, John." "Hi, Katie." We stood in silence. All around, people hugged and cried. We just looked at each other. "Flowers?" she smiled, seriously. "A dumb idea?" "The dumbest." But she took them. We drove to my place. I had rented a small apartment in Virginia, near the Veterans Center, where I was doing rehab. We were quiet on the way. I did not know what to say. She looked out the window. "How is the arm?" she asked at last. "Better. It still does not work right, but the doctors say it will." "Good." "Katie." "Do not," she cut me off. "Not now. I am too tired to talk. In the apartment, she dropped her rucksack and sat on the couch, stared into space. Are you hungry? I asked. No. Shower. No. What then? She looked at me. Sit with me. Just sit. I sat. We sat in silence. Outside, dusk settled. John, she said softly, I am not sure I can be normal. What is normal? Not screaming at night, not fearing fireworks, not checking every corner of the room, not thinking constantly about those I did not save. I am not normal either. We suit each other. She gave a weak smile. You are strange, John Rays. You have said that. I am saying it again. She leaned against my shoulder. I held her. We sat like that until night, when she fell asleep. I carried her to the bed and pulled up a blanket. I lay on the couch. In the night, I heard a cry. I woke and ran to the bedroom. Katie sat on the bed, trembling. Sorry. Do not apologize. I do not want to be alone. You will not be. I lay beside her without undressing. I held her. She fell asleep in my arms, clutching my shirt. I stared into the dark and thought that we were both broken, but together we held. Dr. Lisa Mendez was a short woman of about 50, with warm brown eyes and a soothing voice. She ran a support group for veterans every Thursday. I had been going for 3 months. Katie refused. I do not want to sit in a circle and whine about feelings, she said. It helps. For you, not for me. But after another nightmare, when she woke screaming and could not stop shaking, I asked again. Once, just take a look. She agreed. On Thursday, we went together. 8 people sat in the circle, men and women of different ages, all with the same empty eyes. Tell us about yourself, Dr. Mendez said to Katie. I am Katie. I was a medic in the Marine Corps, 2 years in Afghanistan. What brought you here? Dr. Mendez asked. Katie was silent. I saw her fingers clench. I cannot sleep, she said at last. I see the faces of the ones I did not save. How many did you save? Asked the man across from her. Older than us by about 15 years, missing his left arm. I do not know. Many. And how many did you lose? 17, she answered instantly. She had been counting. 18 if you count the one who died in the hospital after evacuation. Do you remember all their names? Yes. The man nodded. I do too. 32. My company. My failure. It is not your fault, Dr. Mendez said gently. Then why does it feel like it? The man's voice broke. Katie looked at him, and suddenly something like understanding appeared on her face. She was not alone. Others carried the weight too. After the session, we sat in the cafe next door. Katie drank her coffee in silence. Did it help? I asked. I do not know. Maybe. Hard to say. Will you go again? Perhaps. She came the next week, and the week after. Little by little, she started talking more. She told them about Alex, about the others, about her fears. I saw something in her begin to shift. Not recovery, this is not the kind of illness that cures, but acceptance, and understanding that she was not a monster for failing to save everyone. One evening after a session, she held my hand as we walked to the car. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not leaving, when I was the worst version of myself. You were never the worst, just wounded. She stopped and turned to me. John, I want to try, with us, but I am scared. Of what? That I will break you, that my darkness will swallow you too. I touched her face. Katie, we are both in the dark, but together we have light. She kissed me, not in haste, not out of despair, slowly, gently, like a promise. That night we went home together, a real home, the kind we began building from the pieces of ourselves. The months that followed were the hardest. We tried, we truly tried, but trauma does not disappear because you want it to. It just waits for its moment to return. Katie had bad days when she could not get out of bed and lay staring at the ceiling. I brought her coffee and sat beside her. Sometimes I stayed quiet. Sometimes I told her nonsense about the weather, about the neighbor who got a dog, about anything to fill the silence. I had my own demons. My arm ached when the weather changed. I woke in a cold sweat. Katie held me without a word. She was simply there. But there were good days, too. When we drove to the ocean and sat on the shore, listening to the waves. When we cooked together and Katie laughed when I burned the eggs. When we fell asleep in each other's arms and the nightmares did not come. One evening in May we argued. I suggested she take a job the local hospital was looking for a nurse. Katie refused. I cannot. Why not? Because I am afraid. I am afraid to start saving people again and to lose them again. That is the work of a medic, Katie. We are not all powerful. Then why try at all? Because some do survive. Because you saved me. I did not save you. You survived on your own. No, I stood, my voice rising. I survived because I knew you were waiting. Because I did not want to let you down. She stared at me, eyes wide. John, I am tired of fighting for us alone, Katie. It is hard for me too. It hurts me too. But I am doing everything I can. And you are hiding. I am not hiding. You are. From life, from me, from yourself. She burst into tears. Sharp, sudden. I do not know how else to live. John, I do not know how to live with this. I held her. Hard, desperate. Together, I whispered. We live with it together. She cried into my chest, and I stroked her back, feeling her body shake. Sorry, she whispered. Sorry that I am so broken. I am broken too. We fit. That night we sat on the kitchen floor with our backs against the cabinet. Katie held my hand. I will take the job, she said quietly. I will try. For us. Not for us. For yourself. Maybe it is the same thing. I kissed her fingers. Maybe. We sat until dawn. When the sun began to rise, Katie fell asleep against my shoulder. I looked at her face tired, worn, but peaceful, and thought that I loved this woman more than my own life, and that I would do anything to help her learn to live again. A year later, everything changed. Katie took a job at the Veterans Hospital. It was hard. For the first months, she came home exhausted and cried in the shower, but she did not give up. I started volunteering with the ambulance service. My arm worked well enough to help, even if not like before. We moved to a small house by the sea. Katie said water calmed her. I agreed it did for me too. Dr. Mendez was pleased with our progress. We still went to therapy, but no longer every week. The nightmares did not vanish, but they came less often. One morning in June, we woke early. The sun had just started to rise, the sky pink and gold. Let us go to the beach, Katie said. We walked barefoot, holding hands. The sand was cool under our feet, the air fresh. Katie stopped by the water, staring at the horizon. You know what I have realized? She said softly. What? I did not save everyone, but I saved some, and that matters. I hugged her from behind, my chin on her shoulder. It matters a great deal. Alex would have wanted me to live. They all would. Yes. She turned and put her arms around my neck. John Reyes, you saved me. Not in Afghanistan. Here, in this country, in this life. You saved me too. We saved each other. I kissed her, long, slow, savoring the moment. When we pulled apart, she was smiling. Truly smiling, not forced, not for show. Honest. What now? She asked. Now we live, day by day, together. Sounds like a plan. We sat on the sand, watching the sun rise over the ocean. Katie leaned against me, and I felt the warmth of her body. Do you remember, she said suddenly, when I said God does not shine for us? I remember. I was wrong. He does, through people like you. I kissed her temple. I am just an ordinary man, Katie. No, you are my man. That makes you extraordinary. We laughed. Light, true. For the first time in a long while. The water rolled up the shore, washing away our footprints. But we stayed, holding on to each other. Under fire, we lost ourselves. Afterward, we found each other. And that was enough. 3 years later, Katie stood by the window of our house, holding a baby girl. Our daughter. She was 2 months old, and she had her mother's eyes. What shall we name her? Katie asked. I came up and hugged them both. Hope, if you agree. Katie looked at me. Hope, perfect. The baby slept, not knowing what her parents had been through, the hell we walked through to get here. But she would know love. She would know what it means to fight for happiness. She would know that even broken people can create something beautiful. Katie kissed our daughter's forehead, then kissed me. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not giving up, when I gave up. Never. I will never give up on you. We stood together by the window, looking out at the ocean. Waves broke on the shore, the sun set beyond the horizon. Somewhere out there across the water, our ghosts remained, our demons, our past. But here, in this home, in these arms, our future. And it is worth every scar, every tear, every sleepless night. We survived under fire. We found each other afterward. And now we finally live. Subscribe to our channel so you do not miss anything, because this is nothing compared to what is coming next. If you are under 18, do not even think about pressing next.